Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Greetings to everyone. We welcome you to the second segment of our Sunday service. And we want to thank God for the sermon that we received in the morning through the ministration of Pastor Baloi. I hope we benefited and we enjoyed it. And we thank God for the exposure of those who have no interest in saving men from their sins, the Pharisees.
Yes.
Yes. I do have something to share with you today before we go into our sermon. I do have an utterance to make. It may come to you as a prophecy, but it is also more than a prophecy, because the world is still struggling to understand what God does and how God does his things. The world believes that prophecy is predictive all the time. If you say something is going to happen in the future, they say it is prophecy. But if you go to Jeremiah 25, you will remember that there was a time when prophecy would simply mean a word of God to men, a word that God has sent to men.
Yes.
It's not all the time that prophets will give utterances that give insight into the future. Prophetic utterances are not always future predictions.
Yes.
That is another dimension and another facet of prophecy. Sometimes prophecy tells the people what is happening now from a God vantage point.
Yes.
When it is raining, people may say, God has sent rain so that we may farm. The prophet may prophesy about that rain.
Yes.
And he will actually tell you this rain is a sign of God's case.
Yes.
God is going to bring punishment upon this land, just as this rain is falling down. The punishment of God is coming down.
Yes.
So prophecy is not always futuristic. And if you don't tell people what is going to happen in the future, people will say you are not a prophet. Sometimes God's prophecy is a matter of God telling men the current affairs from his own point of view.
Yes.
So this is important. Jeremiah 25 says, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Joachim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Judah and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, from the 13th year of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Judah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd day, the 23rd year, the word of the Lord hath come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but you have not hearkened. And the Lord hath sent me unto you, all his servants, the prophets. The Lord hath sent unto you all his prophets, all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them. But you have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, turn ye again, now everyone from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that the Lord hath given unto you and to your fathers forever and ever. And go not after other gods to serve them and to worship them, and provoke me not to anger with the works of your hands, and I will do to you no hurt. You have not hearkened unto me, saith the Lord, that you might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands to your own hurt. So when Jeremiah, Pastor,
Yes.
when Jeremiah prophesied in Jeremiah 25,
Yes.
he wasn't prophesying of things that were to happen in the future. Jeremiah told the people that God was not happy
Yes.
with their sin. God was not happy with their abominations.
Yes.
God was not happy with their disobedience to the law of God. And when Jeremiah said these words in verse 5, 6, and 7, Tendeukai, 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 repent, 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 Jeremiah was prophesying. That's why these words are recorded in the book of Jeremiah, the book of the prophet, chapter 25. The prophet did not say, there shall be famine in the future. He said, repent from what you are doing.
Yes.
But he was prophesying. So prophesying is speaking the word of God.
Yes.
You can speak about the now. You can talk about the future. You can talk about the past and tell people about events that happened in the past. It still makes the prophecy.
Yes.
It still constitutes prophecy. But the sinners do not know that you can tell people what is happening now, but you are not telling them what they already know. You are telling them what God is saying
Yes.
about what is happening now.
Yes.
You see now?
Yes.
Yes. If Pastor Irengu is expecting a child, she already knows she's pregnant. Prophecy can speak about that pregnancy, which she already knows about.
Yes.
But what the prophecy is telling her, she didn't know before the prophetic utterances were made.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
So don't be deceived that prophecy is always going to be predictive. We are not going to be predicting what shall happen in the future. And the word prediction also does not apply to the man of God when he's talking about the future.
Yes.
The word prediction, it is a worldly way of tackling and articulating a spiritual phenomenon. The prophet, when he speaks what shall happen in the future, he is not predicting.
Yes.
The man of God was there and he saw it happening. So he is not looking into the future to come back to the present to tell you what is going to happen. No. The man of God is speaking what God has said. To God, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. God lives in one continuous day. So what we are calling future today is not future unto God. What we are saying tomorrow today is not tomorrow unto God. What we are saying 2023 is not 2023 to God. It is one normal day. It is one continuous day.
Yes.
It is one ordinary day. So we are people who are coming from God, who sees everything in front of him from its beginning to its end. We come back to a world that is very slow. And so the world that is very slow does not understand that what we have seen has already happened. Because in the eyes of God, the world is a tiny small ball that God sees inside out with one glance. You see?
Yes.
So what we call future is not future to God. What we call history is not history to God.
Yes.
Make no mistake about it.
Yes.
Because of this token, it cannot be a prediction.
Yes.
Because in order for you to predict, you must be in the present for you to look into the future. But if you are speaking what God has seen, you must understand when God saw those things, He was not looking into the future.
Yes.
He was seeing it happening.
Yes.
He had already seen it happening. He didn't just see it happening.
Yes.
He actually orchestrated and designed the events to unfold in a specific pattern to achieve a desired spiritual goal.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. The reason why when we talk with confidence, even when we are talking about what shall happen in the future, it is because of what I have just told you now. It's not a future.
Yes.
Hakuna future kuna Mwari. It's not future. It has happened already. It has happened.
Yes.
Kana iri future kwauri hakuna kufunga kuti kumunhu wese future kuna Mwari haisi future.
Yes.
So the man of God, Pastor and Brother Nelson, he is telling you what God has said.
Yes.
So the man of God must be understanding that he speaks for God. May he not put and give an impression that varies with the impression of the one who has sent him. I saw this happening. I saw it happened. This is what happened. That's why when you look at Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6, Isaiah did not say, unto us a child will be born.
Yes.
Isaiah did not say, unto us a son will be given.
No.
To suggest that it's a futuristic event,
Yes.
and then therefore it's a prophecy.
Yes.
Isaiah did not say, in the future a child will be given. He didn't say, in the future a child shall be born. In the future a son shall be given. Isaiah said, a child has been born.
Yes.
A son has been given.
Yes.
But Isaiah's prophecy materialized more than 700 years later. But his prophecy was not, it shall happen.
Yes.
He said, it has happened.
Yes.
Isaiah akati, tazvarirwa mwana, tapiwa mwanakomana. Haana kuti nenguva inouya tichazvarirwa mwana, nenguva inouya tichapiwa mwanakomana. Akati auya, hamuna kumuona? Aripo uya, ndamuona ini.
Yeah.
People went out of their cities looking for this child.
Yes.
They thought Isaiah's prophecy had happened at that particular time.
Yes.
But it didn't happen.
Yes.
It was going to happen in the future.
Future.
But when Isaiah saw it, he was in a realm where there is no future. Nozoti kwanga kuina Isaiah pastor. Ukapinda mureu imomo. Hakuna future ikoko. Saka chinozonetsa ndechekudzoka kuno kureu kuno. Ndokune future, ndokune mangwana.
Yes.
Saka vanhu vaida kuti Isaiah unatsorate here. Kumwana uri kutaura ari ku Isaiah kuti muri kumutsvaga kana ini uri kutomutsvaga. Kana mamuona mondiratidzawo. Ndamuona ini. Kana tisati tamuona zvedu ngatirambe tichitsvaga but mwana iye aripo. Atozvarwa izvi. Kusvikira 500 years later,
Yes.
the child was born. The son was given.
Yes.
Isaiah did not lie when he said, unto us a child is born.
Yes.
Unto us
Yes.
a son is given. Isaiah is now. It's not tomorrow. Everything is now.
Yes.
To God, everything happens now. All right. Some people are complaining about network. I really want us to be together when I speak what I want to say now. Yes. Please, let me know if our network has improved. Give me a feedback. Tendai is saying network. Patience is saying better now. Memory is saying network problem. David is saying network is good. Kennedy is saying, yes, the network is jumpy. Okay. They say it looks better now. All right. Yes, we don't want to speak without you. We want to follow each other as much as we can. So there was a time when I gave a prophecy about Adonijah and Joab.
Yes.
I do not wish to repeat that prophecy. That was a very simple prophecy. It didn't really require a lot of work, a lot of thinking to interpret it. I said, was not Joab a nephew of King David? How come Joab rebelled against his uncle and he sided with a rebellious son? And in that prophecy, I continued to ask, is Joab going to live? Is Joab going to live? Of course, if you read the Bible, you will understand that this incident happened in 1 Kings chapter 1, where Adonijah conspired with his nephew Joab, the general, the army general in Israel, to attempt to unseat the president, the king, just like our own president was unseated by a military coup in 2017. That was a very unfortunate event, and I just want to tell you that we are still a long way from home. We are still a long way from home. There are mistakes that we continue to make every time. And our biggest problem is we are a people who love to live in fantasy, in utopia. We do not want to face the reality, admit where we make mistakes, and improve. I remember telling the people of Zimbabwe that the Mnangagwa regime is not coming to build Zimbabwe. They have been behind Mr. Mugabe for a long time, and they wanted to be in power. They clamored for the presidential office, and they did a lot of scheming and plotting. And they took advantage of the disorder that was in Mr. Mugabe's family and his marriage and his house. And unknowingly, Mr. Mugabe walked out of reality and went into a certain trance where things are happening, and he has lost control. And that's why the coup was successful. And the people of Zimbabwe were used to create an impression that Mr. Mugabe was removed by a vote of no confidence by the population of Zimbabwe, who protested that they don't want Mugabe anymore. But Mr. Mugabe was already under house arrest when those demonstrations were done. When the parliament set to try and force Mr. Mugabe to resign by casting a vote of no confidence, trying to do an impeachment process, Mr. Mugabe then resigned. But by that time, Mr. Mugabe was already under house arrest, and by that time, some people had already been killed. And Mrs. Opam Chinguri lied in Parliament that the coup was a bloodless coup. But there are people who were killed. I remember some time ago sharing with you the name of one of intelligence operatives who was murdered at one commando brigade when he was tortured. That information is there for public consumption, even on social media. So many people died. They were killed. So it wasn't a bloodless coup. People died, and nobody is talking about it. But I talked about it, and I said, God wants you to see that these men have nothing good in their minds for the people of Zimbabwe. He wants them to be exposed. Their inefficiencies and their weaknesses shall be openly available for everyone to see. I said that the day the coup was done, I said it, I was in town when people were marching and running, celebrating the criminal removal of Mr. Mugabe from office. There is another mistake that was committed again. The people supported the military. They were seen taking pictures, climbing onto military vehicles, artillery vehicles, and armored cars. They were saying the military has done a good thing by removing a tyrant from office. I told the people of Zimbabwe that that was a mistake. The people of Zimbabwe should have demonstrated that particular day that every ZANU-PF person in government should go. It was not Mr. Mugabe who had destroyed Zimbabwe. It was the whole party, the whole system. What happened is ZANU-PF replaced the tyrant with even a more reckless and ruthless tyrant. But now it's difficult for the world to believe that this Second Republic is oppressing us. Because when they took power militarily and forcefully, the people supported them and they said, we are in a second dispensation, a second republic. It's a new dispensation. People are going to see the development that shall happen. Nothing has happened now. Things have gone worse. When Mr. Mnangagwa took office, a loaf of bread was going for 90 cents, less than $1.
Yes.
Right now, a loaf of bread is costing an amount that is almost equivalent to $20. The things have gone worse. There's murder, there's abductions, there's violence, political violence. People are dying every day, and the economy is plummeting to abysmal levels of hardships. People are continuously finding it very difficult to put food on their tables. So another mistake was also committed by the opposition. I think the opposition, if they wanted to appear honest to the people of Zimbabwe, they should publicly admit that they made a mistake.
Yes.
Mr. Chamisa and his political activists, they must admit that they made a mistake by whitewashing a criminal activity, a criminal event that should have been condemned. The opposition stood on the podiums side by side with ZANU-PF politicians, and they said, we are happy that we have managed to remove Mr. Mugabe from office. If you are a serious Zimbabwean, you must begin to question the integrity of the intentions of the opposition towards the ordinary citizens.
Yes.
Are they really committed to improving our lives, the lives of every ordinary Zimbabwean? Or they are just looking for an opportunity to do the same that the ZANU-PF politicians are doing today?
Yes.
What was the idea? What was their plan? The ZANU-PF used the opposition to do some sugarcoating of a military criminal activity. The opposition should have said, we have nothing to do with internal political party issues. ZANU-PF has got its own factional problems. We stand with the constitution and we stand with the people of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
We demand that ZANU-PF should surrender the reins of administrating and governing people. We want to offer an alternative government that is accountable to its citizens. We condemn the forceful removal of Mr. Mugabe from office. That way the outside world was going to realize that there is a constitutional crisis in Zimbabwe. Mr. Mnangagwa took over to finish Mr. Mugabe's term of office, something that was not supposed to happen if the law was followed. You can't arrest someone and then say the party is replacing him with another person. That should not have happened like that. Mr. Mugabe did not resign. Mr. Mugabe was forced. He was frog-marched into writing a resignation letter. The opposition sanctified a coup. Yes. They glorified a coup. They participated in a criminal activity. If somebody is to become president today and the removal of Mr. Mugabe is now prosecuted in a court of law, if Mr. Mnangagwa is arrested for the removal of Mr. Mugabe from office, the opposition will also need to be arrested because they participated, they conspired to do something that was criminal.
Yes.
How genuine is the opposition in dealing with Zimbabwe's economic and political problems? They seem to be very keen on taking every opportunity available to go into government, even through the back door.
Yes.
I suggest and I suspect that the opposition thought that ZANU-PF was going to ask them to join them in forming a unity government. That was another level of naivety that needs to be investigated. Do we have right politicians to take on ZANU-PF if they are this naive? Mr. Chinamasa was quoted saying, whoever thought that we were going to do a government of national unity was drunk.
Yes.
Mr. Mugabe was removed by ZANU-PF and ZANU-PF will deal with this matter. This is what Mr. Chinamasa said after Mugabe resigned.
Yes.
Before then, we saw them in Highfields standing side by side with war veterans condemning Mr. Mugabe. A few days later, they were kicked out of the events like small puppies. And ZANU-PF went back to its usual grandstanding game.
Yes.
I am worried about the optimism of Zimbabwean people towards the opposition political leaders who are promising them a paradise when they have structural problems that are very concerning and worrying as far as their capacity is concerned. The capacity of opposition people is questionable. It's very questionable. Yes, it's very questionable.
That is true.
So there's a picture that I want to show you. There's an image that I want to show you. But before I show you that image, just to talk to your brethren for a few moments. I'm going to come back to you now. Yes, Pastor, you may greet our congregation. We haven't spoken to them since we started.
Greetings, brethren, all over the world. I believe we are all well, and I believe we are so excited to be here again, enjoying the second segment of the service today. I did enjoy the first sermon, the alms, the cleanser of the inner man, Brother Nelson. It was
Yes,
quite
Pastor.
something that the Lord was teaching us, and I'm so grateful and thankful to the Lord for that.
Pastor, the cleanser of the inner man.
Yes,
And I actually enjoyed the message because you realize during that message that to clean the inner man,
yes.
you have to give alms to that
Yes,
inner man.
to that inner
That's
man.
the poor which we
And
were
he
taught
was
of.
the poor, yes.
Yes,
the
so
poor man.
it was a wonderful message. The way the Lord was going to cleanse the inner man and
Yes.
the outside as well.
The selling
Yes.
part and the currents that is
Yes,
being
yes.
used, we did enjoy, and I believe every believer also enjoyed the message. We welcome you once again to the second segment. Thank you,
Yes.
Amai.
Yes, still on the Joab issue, I gave a prophecy and I said, is Joab going to live? I want us to read 1 Kings chapter 2. David was dying
Yes,
and he had survived a coup attempt by his own son Adonijah. But Adonijah's rebellion against his father was dangerous because it was supported by his nephew,
yes,
the army general. And so God instructed me to speak out this prophecy.
yes.
And I said, is Joab going to live?
Believe. Yes,
Is Adonijah going to live?
yes,
So a lot of things were said. Some were criticizing me for wishing bad on other people. And they don't understand that God doesn't condone the shedding of blood.
yes,
God doesn't accept and allow people to kill. And God was clear if you look at what he said about murderers. He said a murderer must be put to death. So it doesn't matter what the world is going to say about this or to us. But when we read Numbers 35, verse number 31, it said, moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death,
yes.
but he shall be surely put to death.
Death.
So the Bible authorized Israel to kill
Yes,
a murderer. If you kill a person in Israel,
yes,
there was no place for you in the society anymore. And so the world does not understand that God has addressed everything.
Yes.
If we have murderers in our own country,
yes.
they do not deserve to live, those murderers.
Oh, yes.
Killing a murderer is not murder.
Yeah.
Brother Nelson,
Yes.
It's cleansing.
if you kill a murderer,
Yes.
you are not committing murder.
Murder.
You're actually proving your innocence.
You are actually proving your innocence. You are
Yes.
obeying God. So we have a very, very systematic problem.
Yes.
But in 1 Kings chapter 2,
Yes.
David was too old. He knew that he was not going to live.
Yes.
So he started giving charge to Solomon,
Yes.
the son whom he was going to anoint to take over from him.
Yes.
Solomon was the incoming king. David was just about to die.
Yes.
He invited Solomon into the throne room
Yes.
and he started giving advice to Solomon
Yes.
on what he was going to do when he dies.
Yes.
You are going to be a king. These are some of the things I want you to do.
Yes.
And David remembered that Joab, the army general, his army general,
Yes.
had betrayed him. He had given Joab a post, an honorable position.
Yes.
You are the commander of the defense forces of Israel. And yet Joab, out of his own political ambitions, he turned against his uncle.
Yes.
And he supported a rebellious son. So David is now speaking to Solomon about the army general
Yes.
in 1 Kings chapter 2 verse 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Moreover, thou knowest also what Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, and what he did to the 2 captains of the hosts of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace. and
Joab
put-
shed the blood of war
Yes.
at a time of peace.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So David is saying, as a military man,
Yes.
the only time a soldier is allowed to kill, it is in a time of war.
Yes.
When Joab killed Amasa and Abner,
Yes.
it was not a time of war.
Yes.
That's why it is a
time of
problem.
peace.
It is murder.
Yes.
Joab killed men,
Yes.
innocent men,
Yes.
in a time of peace.
Yes.
So what should Solomon do with Joab, the army general?
And put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet.
So he soiled his clothes with the blood of innocent men.
Yes.
Yes.
Do therefore according to thy wisdom.
Use wisdom, Solomon.
Yes. And let not his whole head go down to the grave in peace.
Do not allow Joab
Yes.
to grow old and die at an advanced age.
Yes.
Do not allow Joab to go to the grave in peace.
Yes.
Hey.
Joab must die a premature death. Joab should not grow old until he is not able to walk.
Yes.
He should die young. He should not be allowed
Yes.
to see his great grandchildren
Yes.
because he shed blood,
Yes.
innocent blood,
Yes.
at a time of peace.
Yes.
Now, this is Solomon. He is taking over from his father David,
Yes.
but already he has a docket in his office. He must make sure
Yes.
that he then kills Joab. And now, if you want to know when Joab died, you can go to chapter 2, verse 29.
Yes.
Let's read. It was told King Solomon that Joab was fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord, and behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon sent Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, saying, Go, fall upon him. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of the Lord and said unto him, Thus says the king, Come forth. And he said, Deny, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, Thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. And the king said unto him, Do as he has said, and fall upon him and bury him, that thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father. And this is how Joab died.
Yes.
But if you look at verse number 31, Pastor,
Yes.
Solomon is saying, the blood that Joab
Joab
shed
shed.
will be upon the nation as long as Joab is alive.
Yes.
Read verse 31 again.
And the king said unto him, Do as he has said, and fall upon him, and bury him, that thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father.
Yes.
Did Benaiah kill Joab? Verse 34.
So Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went up and fell upon him and slew him, and he was buried in his own house in the wilderness.
Joab was buried by Benaiah. There was not proclaimed a national day of mourning.
Yes.
The death of a murderer does not require people to mourn. So this is some of the problems we have. I don't know if people are going to remember what I'm going to say now. Every time an innocent person is murdered in a country and nothing is done to the murderers, there is a curse that comes upon that land. The whole land becomes accursed because the population is making it fashionable for murderers to continue. When somebody is murdered, the society must turn against the murderer and hold him accountable, so that the blood of the person who has been murdered may not be held against everyone. You see now, God holds all Zimbabweans guilty for the murder of More Blessing Ali. God holds the whole nation guilty for the disappearance of Itai Dzamara. God holds the nation guilty for the murder of Mboneni Ncube, Langelihle Dube, and everyone who has been murdered. The Tondera Indiras, the Talent Chiminya and Mabikas, all the people who have been murdered with impunity. The nation of Zimbabwe is carrying the guilt of all those people. That's why Solomon said to Benaiah, kill Joab, so that thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me and from the house of my father. Are you hearing this?
Yes.
When people are dying because of murder, even if you are not the murderer, you will pay the price. Naturally, there is a case that comes upon such people. That's why I said, and people say, why is Chiwenga saying Zimbabwe is a case? I will show you, Brother Nelson. Now. Let's go to 2 Samuel. I want to show you, I'm proving by scripture that Zimbabwe is cursed.
Yes.
2 Samuel 21. You don't like me, I know. Continue to hate me. You are the right person to hate me.
Yes.
I'm not meant to be liked by infidels. But what I say is what God says. If you want to know what God is saying about Zimbabwe, this is the time to learn from me.
Yes.
What I'm telling you now is what God literally hounds me with these matters. When he wants to talk to me, I find no peace. And then when I come to talk to you here, I'm telling you some of the things that God has allowed me to talk to you about. There are things about Zimbabwe that I'll only be able to speak to a few people. Why are you saying Zimbabwe is cursed? I've already told you. When blood is being spilled by murderers, terrorists, and the nation, the whole people, the whole population does nothing to hold the murderer accountable. The whole nation becomes guilty of that blood. You are pamberi pamwari tese takauraya More Blessing Ali. Those are zvakatoita. As long as the murderer is walking free, he goes into the bus, he goes to town, he goes into the supermarket, he buys groceries, he comes back home. People see him and they point fingers and say, here is the man who killed More Blessing Ali. When that happens, the whole nation is guilty. And there are certain religions which are very lost, but I don't know how God does it. They have a certain strange understanding of how God judges issues to do with the blood. Go into Islam. In the Muslim world, if you kill someone, especially their fellow Muslim, you will die. There is no jail for such people. They will kill you. That's what Sharia says. They use Sharia law to judge murderers. Pawauraira munhu ipapo ndo pavanokuuraira. Zvotopera. They don't bury you, they will burn you up. Murderers should not have graves. Don't you know what Josiah did? He dug up the bones of dead murderers and he burned them. Josiah burned the bones when he took office from his father Ammon. He realized that there were so many people who were murdered before he took office. But some of the murderers had died before he took office. Josiah akanofukunyura makuva emhondi akapisa mabhonzo acho. Iwo nongochitiko zvino kana vakafa zvava zvichine basa rei? Zvanga zvine basa pamberi paMwari. Murderers do not need graves. As I talk to you right now, by the day we are going to have a God-fearing president, he will need to ask us on how to bring the case out of Zimbabwe, how to cleanse the nation.
Yes.
You are going to see things that you have never seen in your entire life. Some of us, tell your neighbor, he said some of us.
Some of us.
Oh.
He said some of us.
So, I want to talk about Josiah, and I want to just give you a few scriptures. I don't like to tell you biblical issues as if I'm telling a folk story. I really want to show you where it happened.
Yes.
So we are in 2 Kings 23.
Yes.
2 Kings 23, verse number 5.
And he
Start
down,
from verse 4. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high priest,
Yes.
this is King Josiah,
Yes.
and the priests of the second order and the keepers of the door,
Yes.
to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made of bow, and for the groove, and for all the host of heaven, and he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and he carried the ashes of them unto Bethel.
Yes.
Yes.
And he put down the idolatrous priests,
He killed the idolatrous priests. Yes.
whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah,
Yes.
and in the places round about Jerusalem, them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the host of heaven. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord, without Jerusalem, unto the brook Kidron, and burned it, and at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people.
Verse 16.
And as Josiah turned himself,
As Josiah was walking,
Yes.
he spied the sepulchres.
he
that
saw
were-
the graves
Yes,
that were in the mountain.
yes.
Yes.
And sent and took the bones out of the sepulchres.
He dug up graves
Yes.
and collected the bones
Yes.
of dead murderers.
Yes.
Yes.
And burned them upon the altar.
Yes.
And polluted it, according to the word of the Lord, which the men of God proclaimed. Who proclaimed these words?
Let's end there. Why would Josiah waste time digging up graves of dead people? He gathered the bones of dead people. He burned them.
Yes.
What was the purpose?
It's cleansing.
He was cleansing the nation.
Yes.
Because murderers should not be buried.
Yes.
Who is yes. Pastor Zokoro Zemashokwa, murderers should not be buried.
Yes.
Murderers should not be buried.
Mondazi vigwe.
They should not have a decent burial.
Yes.
What for?
Muri kuzviona kuti nyika yedu iri caged.
Yeah.
Because the people are actually proclaiming a national day of mourning to mourn murderers.
Yes.
They are flying the flag at half-mast to honor murderers.
Yes.
Shedding of blood in a time of peace and not in a time of war.
Yes.
More Blessing Ali was murdered in a time of peace.
Yes.
Whoever killed More Blessing Ali
Yes.
should not have a grave.
Yes.
Is it true that the whole nation can be cursed because a murderer has not been held accountable? 2 Samuel 21 from verse 1.
Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites.
Read again verse 21.
Then there was a famine in the days of David 3
Kwakaita
years.
nzara mazuva aDhavhidhi
3 years.
3 years vanhu vachifa nenzara. MuIsraeri makamboita nzara.
Yes.
Yes.
Year after year.
Gore negore vanhu vaifa nenzara.
And David inquired of the
Ndobva
Lord.
Dhavhidhi abvunza akati, kwemi Mwari hamusidai mvura makaibatirei tiri kufa nenzara?
And the Lord answered,
Zvikanzi naMwari,
It is for Saul
ndiri kunyimisa mvura nekuda kwaSauro
and for his bloody house,
nekuda kweropa raakadeura,
because he slew the
nekuti
Gibeonites.
Sauro akauraya vaGibheoni.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. David, the man after God's heart,
Yes.
despite his good relationship with God, God punished Israel because of Saul's actions.
Yes.
But Saul had died a long time ago. Saul died in 1 Samuel 31.
Yes.
We are in 2 Samuel 21. David is more than 20 years on the throne. But God is punishing Israel because of the sins of a dead king.
Yes.
Handizive kuti muri kundinzwa here. Davhidhi nevanhu vaIsraeri vakarohwa neshamhu yenzara for 3 years.
Yes.
Mwari achitsiva ropa revaGibheoni vakaurayiwa naSauro asati afa. Sauro wacho akauraya vaGibheoni akafa kare kare.
Yes.
Kana mukada kutoti mutsvage kuti Sauro wakavaurayire, hapasisina Sauro akafa.
Yes.
Mwari akati inini ikesi, this is a case.
Yes.
Is this not a case, Pastor?
It is a case.
Is this not a case?
It is a case.
Wasn't Israel cursed with a famine?
It was.
It was
What was the problem?
because of blood.
Because of
innocent
blood.
people. Yes.
They killed innocent Gibeonites,
Yes.
the people of Saul.
In the
And
time
God
of
kept
peace.
quiet. David took over. He was tranquil. He was in a time of peace. He enjoyed himself. All of a sudden, there's nothing working in Israel. You try to go to work, they are giving you useless bond notes. You try to sell something, you don't get any profit. You go into the supermarket, you can't buy cooking oil. Everything is not affordable in Zimbabwe right now. Why is that? It's a curse.
Yes.
Take it from me. Zimbabwe is cursed. There are so many reasons why Zimbabwe is cursed. At the top of those reasons, you are going to find innocent blood. Everyone is being punished because we are complicit. We are encouraging murderers to continue to kill people. And now the whole nation is cursed.
Yes.
Read again chapter 21 verse 1.
Then there was a famine in the days of David.
There was a famine in the days of David.
3 years.
3 years.
Year after year.
Year after year.
And David inquired of the Lord.
David asked God.
And the Lord answered.
And David
It is
said,
for Saul.
but Lord, I know you can bring rain. I know you can solve our problems.
Yes.
We thank God Israel had a God-fearing king
Yes.
who could pray to God and God could give him answers
Yes.
to explain what was the problem.
Yes.
And David did not start lying to the people. Your economic problems are as a result of external influence. Our economy is hurt badly because of sanctions. No. David knew that these are not sanctions.
Yes.
This is God.
Yes.
Our problems, they show us that they are God's fingerprints in these problems.
Yes.
Look at what they did. They hired him to Nuwe and they over-advertised him. He is an economist, a celebrated economist with a vast wealth of experience in financial issues, finance issues. And people were hopeful that Tuli Nuwe is going to change the economy. Yes, Nish. People are looking for Tuli Nuwe's mother to beg her to take back her son. She has become the worst finance minister since independence.
Yes.
What is wrong? It's a curse.
Yes. Yes.
Tuli Nuwe, if he is given a different country, he can change things and things will work.
Yeah.
He is not incompetent. He is trying to heal a cursed nation.
Yes.
There is only one method that a case may be reversed.
Yes.
You don't hire competent people.
Yes.
You come to God and correct mistakes.
Amen.
So David said, why is it we are suffering from drought? And God said, it's because of innocent blood. David said, but I didn't shed innocent blood. And God said, it's your predecessor. You took over from a bloody man. Saul killed the Gibeonites. That's why I'm holding rain. You will suffer. Then ndakagara pachigaro changu chakakwirira so muchifa nenzara. So David, what did he do in verse 2?
And the king called the Gibeonites and said
In
unto
order
them,
for this case to be reversed,
Yes.
God, this is where people are going to be surprised.
Yes.
In order for this case to be reversed,
Yes.
David did not convene a national day of prayer.
Yes.
Pray for Zimbabwe. Pray for Zimbabwe. Prayers do not reverse cases, my dear friends.
Yes.
Try it. I wish you all the best. Techikutsigirai. Isu tinotaura naMwari techikutsigirai.
Yes.
Mukaita prayer techikutsigirai. Atokurambidze. Tetakakutarisai. Uchipedza kuita prayer petu rinobva yakwira. Metonge ndima toikwidza nekuita prayer. David knew that cases are reversed by obeying God's corrective instructions.
Yes.
David had to talk to the Gibeonites who lost their loved ones because they were murdered by Saul.
Yes.
David called them. Read verse 2 again.
And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them,
Read faster.
Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites and of the children of Israel. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them, and Saul sought to slay them in his zeal for the children of Israel.
To the children of Israel and Judah.
Wherefore,
You see why Saul killed the Gibeonites?
Yes.
He wanted to please the children of Judah.
Yes.
Verse 3, Pastor.
Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you? And wherewith shall I make the atonement, that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord?
Did you hear that?
Yes.
David did not ask God for a blessing. David spoke to the victims of these atrocities.
Yes.
We are going to need to talk to the Matebeleland people
Oh, yes.
to appease them for the Gukurahundi blood.
Yes.
We are going to speak to the victims of the 2008-2009 elections, to speak to them,
Yes.
compensate them.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes.
It's not me who killed the Gibeonites. It is so. Why should I pay for the sins of Saul? You will die of hunger.
Yes.
This is how things work.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
Yes.
The Gibeonites were invited to the president's palace. And David said, I'm sorry. My predecessor killed your relatives.
Yes.
What can I do so that you may forgive us?
Yes.
How can I pay you so that you may bless us? Because if you are forgiven, forgiveness is a blessing.
Yes.
Forgiveness is a blessing.
Yes.
You don't force people to forgive you.
Oh, yes.
You don't tell yourself that let bygones be bygones. Imagine warepa munhu wotora mai kobuda pa TV uchiti let bygones be bygones. You can't dismiss a matter if you are the accused.
Yes.
If you are the one guilty.
Yes.
Anofanirwa kuti ngazvipere ndeuyo wakatadzira kwete iwewe.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine kuti hurumende inotuma vanhu vainoda iyo kunotaura nevanhu vekubulawayo. Makambozviona izvozvo? Ingakuroora chako unobvunza atezvera kuti munyaya wamunoda ndiani? Kana uchida kukumbira ruregerero hautumi waunoda iwewe.
Oh, yes.
Unotobvunza wawakatadzira.
Yes.
Totumani kuti titaurirane.
Yes.
Totaurirana sei?
Yes.
Totaurirana kupi nguvai?
Yes.
Peace and Reconciliation Commission. Isina mandebele. Inosvika yonotaura chirungu kumudebele kubulawayo. Tazikatiregerane. Zvakaitika kare zvakapera. Mwari akuregere, Mwari akukomborere. Iwega. Inzwai vana baba nana amai. Ini ndiri muranda waMwari.
Yes.
Zvandiri kukutaurira izvi ndizvo zvimwe zvandaida kuudza vaMugabe musi wa5 June 2017.
Yes.
Pandakanyora tsamba ndichida kuvaona. Ndichida kuvaudza zvakare kuti havasisina mazuva akawanda vari pachigaro. Vakaramba kuzvinzwa.
Yes.
From June to November pane mwedzi mungana. Dai vaMugabe vakandidedza pandakavanyorera tsamba muna musi wa5 June 2017 kuu yakaitwa muna November ingadai isina kuitwa because zvimwe zvezvinhu zvandada kuvaudza ndezvekuti chibva izvezvi mutsvage munhu anoenda pachigarechi.
Yes.
Those are some of the things I wanted to tell him. If you read the letter I sent to Mr. Mugabe, I hinted that something wrong is going to happen very soon. I hinted on that. So David called the Gibeonites and he said, what can I do to earn your forgiveness?
Yes.
Verse 4.
And the Gibeonites said unto him, We will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house, neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, What you shall say, that will I do for you.
The Gibeonites said, we are not going to be compensated
Yes.
with money. We are not going to ask you to kill innocent people in Israel either.
Yes.
And David said, oh, this is hard.
Yes.
What then should I do for you?
Yes.
Yes.
And they answered the king.
And the Gibeonites
Yes.
told the king how
Yes.
they wanted
Yes.
to be compensated, or how they wanted justice to be served
Yes.
on the house of Saul.
Yes.
Yes.
And they answered the king, The men that consumed us, and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Israel.
Yes.
Let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them.
Verse 7.
But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul.
8.
But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul,
Yes.
Ammoni and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Meholatite.
9.
And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. And
Thank you.
Rizpah,
Thank you. Thank you. We read it for this length of time.
yes,
The idea was I wanted you to know for a surety how this case was reversed.
Yes.
David was told by the Gibeonites, give us 7 men from the family of Saul. We want to kill them. That's how we want justice.
yes,
Blood for blood. An eye for an eye. David said, well, I'll give you to them. I'll give them to you. And he collected the 7 sons of Saul,
Yes.
and he gave them to the Gibeonites. And the Bible said in verse 6, the Gibeonites said, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us. Listen carefully. And we will hang them up unto the Lord
Yes.
in Gibeah of Saul. Toda kuvabaya kuna Mwari. Vanhu ava toda kutovauraya pamberi paMwari.
Yes.
The Gibeonites wanted the sons of Saul to die for God, because it is God who gave an instruction
yes,
that murderers should die.
Yes.
I remember I gave you Numbers 35. In case you may have forgotten, I shared with you Numbers 35, verse number 31.
yes,
I really want you to
Yes.
remember that.
Moreover, you shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer,
Yes.
which is guilt of death.
Yes.
But he shall surely be put to death.
So the family of Saul lost 7 sons in one day. David used the 7 sons of Saul
Yes.
to appease God for the murder of the Gibeonites, so that they may be reign
yes,
in Israel.
Yes.
If a nation is cursed,
yes,
you need to have a spiritual man to teach you how to remove that curse.
Yes.
kuchenurwa ndokuri kuda Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Ana makandi wavenyava vanoita kunge vachapfekedzwa mabra havasi vanochenyera nyika.
Yes.
These are street kids, useless vagabonds who are patronizing themselves for material benefits.
Yes.
These are grave matters, life and death matters.
Yes.
If you go into the statistics and find out how many women are dying while giving birth today in Zimbabwe, you will not sleep, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Because of the state of our hospitals. This is the case. So I'd promised that I wanted to show you something. I gave a prophecy about Joab. And I said, is Joab going to live? Joab, like I said, and as you saw in the scriptures, he was a general. He was an army general.
Yes.
He disobeyed God by supporting a criminal insurrection against a properly ordained king of God. The army general supported a renegade rebel son. He supported Adonijah in rising against David. And what we saw in 1 Kings chapter 2 is that we saw David giving charge to Solomon.
Yes.
That when he takes over from David, he must make sure that he doesn't allow Joab to grow old.
Yes.
The reason why Joab should die sooner, it was because he shed blood in a time of peace.
Yes.
Let's read again, verse number 5 and 6.
Moreover, thou knowest also what Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, and what he did to the two captains of the hosts of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, and unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his whole head go down to the grave in peace.
So when I asked, is Joab going to live?
Yes.
I was taking that question from 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 5 to 6.
Yes.
And Joab died before he became too old.
Yes.
He died. He was killed by Solomon.
Yes.
Solomon killed Joab to
Yes.
obey God's commandment
Eh?
that he got through David.
David.
So it is not a secret that the military is the one that removed Mr. Mugabe forcefully. But I want to remind you of a certain picture that was very popular and trending on social media, the days of Mr. Mugabe's removal, where he was flanked by the military generals at the State House. Let's just see it. That is the image.
Yes.
The red X's there are signifying that the people are not alive anymore. That is Major General, this is General Paradise Mondi at the extreme right, Air Marshal Perenzishiri. The other one without a cross is General Valerio Sibanda. That one in police attire is Augustine Chiuri. There is a yellow X because he is now exiled. And of course, the man on the chair is Mr. Mugabe. He is also late. The question that I asked in the prophecy was, is Joab going to live?
Yes.
And you can answer this question using this image we have showed you there. In the past 3 weeks, we have lost 3 generals in less than a month. And before I show you the images of the generals we have lost now, in the past 3 weeks, I also want to remind you of the face of the military coup. Mr. What's his name? Subusiso Moyo. Major General Subusiso Moyo. who was later awarded with a cabinet post as a minister of lands.
Yes.
He was Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Yes. Foreign affairs.
Yes, he was appointed as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let us look at the image of Mr. Sibusiso Moyo. I gave a prophecy and I said, is Joab going to live? If you think these are natural deaths, go and ask what took these lives, the lives of these ones. In the last 3 weeks, we have lost 3 generals in less than a month. Let's look at the image. The 3 that are on the right there, they died in the last 3 weeks. We lost retired Major Bebe, retired Major Nyati, retired Major Chanakira.
Yes.
These 3 generals, we lost them in less than 1 month.
Yes.
And of course, Mr. Sibusiso Moyo died last year. According to their official statement, he had been battling with a natural disease. Now, we are not celebrating the death of these generals.
Yes.
God doesn't enjoy the death of sinners because it's a loss of a time to repentance.
Yes.
But we cannot also ignore the mind of God. Let's concentrate on the prophecy that I want to share with you today. Most of these are now called retired, because they were also forced to retire in the past 2 years because of another political strategy that they are trying to use. Some of the generals were retired, some were posted to various government departments by Mr. Mnangagwa. There are also fights inside their own camp.
Yes.
Everyone who is wise can see those bickerings. I don't need to talk about them. So when I gave a prophecy and said, is Joab going to live? I wasn't specifically meaning one person. Joab is a face, like Mr. S.B. Moyo. He was the face of the military. There are so many generals who were actively involved in the coup. The coup was not executed by one person. The coup was executed by a cartel
Yes.
of elite soldiers who were promised hefty rewards if they had participated in the coup. So, may God be true and every man a liar.
Yes.
I want to give you some breathing space so that you can talk to each other on what I've said so far. When I come back, I'm going to speak the prophecy that I want to speak. Stay with us. I'm sure you are able to process what we are saying here. We have to get over these matters and go into the sermon.
Yes.
So I'm going to speak as fast as I can. The things that I've been burdened to speak. I could have said what I'm saying today 3 months ago, but I was hoping that I was going to get more details. But the Lord instructed me to speak it out yesterday. And it appears that He wants me to share with you the little details that I have today. There is a statement that we are going to release, which we have already recorded. But the Lord wants me to share with you the prophecy I have before you could take part or to listen to watch that video. So I was seeing a dragon, which looks like, those who have watched the horror movies, it looked like a vampire. It was a dragon. It looked like a vampire, I'm not good at drawing. I could have put it on a paper to give you an idea of what I saw. But I prefer to speak it out as I can, and you may not need to go into the simulations of the dragon that I saw. If you have never seen dragons in movies, you can try to Google them up on the internet. And so this dragon was behind people who were dressed in ZANU-PF attire, political regalia, and there is a lot of things that started coming into me, which the Lord wants me to share with the people of Zimbabwe. First and foremost, I would want to specify and to outline here and now that it is folly, it is a mistake for anyone who comes to our platform to think that as the church we have a vested interest towards a specific group or a certain group in the events or in the issues of our livelihoods in this earth. We do not like any political party above any other political party. As I talk to you right now, I am not a member of any political party. We do not forbid our members from practicing politics, joining politics, taking part in political activities. They have a right to do so, and the doctrine of Christ does not forbid people from leading their fellow countrymen in national leadership. But as a man of God, I do not have that kind of preference. I do not have that kind of luxury. I am a man with a specific assignment, and my assignment does not allow me to find time to deal with issues that are to do with politics. I would prefer that you could understand that, so that whatever I say, you may understand that the interests of God become my own personal interest, the well-being of his people, and also the free course of the gospel. Those are the focal points for whatever we do and whatever we say. When Joshua wanted to go to war against the pagans as they entered into the promised land, the Bible says in verse 5 of Joshua chapter 5, verse 13, it says, "And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him, with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries?" People oftenly come with this question to me.
Yes.
Do you support them or you support their enemies?
Yes.
Do you support us or you support our enemies? So Jericho is where Joshua intended to go and fight.
Yes.
But as on his way to fight the people of Jericho, he met a man whom he didn't know
Yes.
which side he was of these two sides that are going to war.
Yes.
Are you for our side? Are you supporting us? Or you are supporting our adversaries?
Yes.
Yes.
In which case, if this man was a man of Jericho, definitely Joshua was going to kill him. Let us hear in verse 14
Yes.
what the men said to Joshua. So they said, They say it's either you are ZANU-PF or MDC. It's either you are ZANU-PF or Triple C. There is no middle ground. It's not true.
Oh, yes.
This is what Joshua was asking the men.
Yes.
Are you ZANU-PF or you are MDC? Are you a Democrat or you are a Republican? Are you the Labour Party or you are the Conservative?
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
they always think that there is no middle ground. It's either you are for the ruling party
Yes.
or you are for the opposition party. And so we struggle every day.
Yes.
When we speak because God has spoken to us, they want us to say what they want so that they may support us. He is right. If you say something that corrects them, that rebukes them, that challenges them, that reprimands them,
Yes.
they say you are our enemy. You don't want us to see progress.
Yes.
So Joshua asked, do you support our party or you support the opposition?
Yes.
What did the men say to Joshua?
And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come.
Let's end here, Pastor.
Yes.
The angel, it was the angel, but the angel looked like a man.
Yes.
So Joshua thought he had seen a man.
Yes.
The angel was asked, do you support us, young men, or you support our adversaries? The angel said, I don't support anyone. I don't support you. I don't support your adversaries.
Yes.
I am the captain
Yes.
of the army of God.
Yes.
Which simply means I stand with God. I do not have a side.
Yes.
Do you accept that there are such people on earth who do not support you? They support God.
Yes.
They stand with God.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Vasanenge wabvunzwa uchinzi saka unosapota ripi wewe bato? What did Joshua do when the angel said, I am for the army of God? What did Joshua do?
And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant?
When Joshua realized that this is an angel,
Yes.
he fell down. He said, forgive my nonsense. Forgive me for speaking nonsense.
Yes.
I am your servant. Tell me what I should do.
Yes.
How could I ask you such a stupid question?
Yeah.
You don't need to support us. You stand for the plan of God.
Oh,
Yes.
You identify with God's principles.
Yes.
That's who is Apostle Chiwenga. That's who I am.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't support anyone. I stand with God.
Yes.
So there's a vampire that I saw. And instead of giving you everything that I saw in the vision, I am going to give you the interpretation of the vision. Because the details of the vision are very, very graphic, and it's impossible for anyone to interpret the dragon that I saw. But when I saw the dragon, I was given the interpretation of the vision. So there is a cartel. There is a cartel, and that cartel is heavily funded. It is made up of military generals celebrated for their career achievements. They are expert military professionals. They have tasted the good and the sweet taste of money. And they have been given a task to protect the company, to protect the institution. So this cartel has been given a task to make sure that the party stays in power. And there are people who are given hefty amounts of money to make sure that whatever needs to be done is done. There are people who are going to just be ruling. And there are people who are given the task to make sure that these that are ruling are not moved. They are not disrupted in everything. that they are doing. Hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars are being paid per month so that this dragon, this vampire, can continue to conduct what they are calling operations. Operations everywhere. They've set up provincial offices, district offices, every corner of the country. This dragon has its representatives. The disappearance of opposition members, which we are seeing happening now, it is being carried out by this dragon, this vampire. The plan is to do what is called in political science gerrymandering and election engineering. Gerrymandering is simply changing constituency, political constituencies. You always continue to change them so that whenever an election is done, a constituency is re-pegged and they do a delimitation to make sure that every candidate of this party is going to have a constituency that has enough people to vote for them. When they see that there are more supporters on this side, the next time they change the boundaries of that constituency. That is what is called gerrymandering, of which election engineering is broad. There is election engineering towards voter registration, election engineering that is done by registration of national identification documents. There are people right now who are getting new identification documents in Zimbabwe. There are people right now, as I talk, who have 2 or 3 national identification documents. When voting starts next year, they are going to vote in 3 places in the same day. And no one is going to know that there's somebody who traveled from Mutoko to go and vote in Mavuku and go back to Mutoko. That is what election engineering is all about. But the abductions are part of the election engineering. What happens is these people have gone to different places in the world to learn how to predict an election outcome even a year before the election. And so what they are doing right now, they have already started making sure that every cog is in its rightful place for ZANU-PF victory to be realized next year. And one of the biggest plans is to use intimidation, but in a different way. People are going to vote for ZANU-PF next year unwillingly. There is going to be so much fear to the extent where you are going to vote for them even with a cold heart. Zvakafanana nekunzi ndikise kana kuti ndokuuraya. You can kiss someone usingadi, asi uchiziva kuti I have to do it, otherwise I will die. So they have a plan to make sure that after they are going to abduct someone, kill him, murder someone. After a few days, they murder someone. In a different place, after a few days, they murder someone. Until the whole country is aware that people are dying like rats, like mouse. And then people are going to say, let's just do what they want. So they are killing 1 person per day so that there is not too much outcry, because it's just 1 person killed, and then after a few days they kill another person. It's a very, very serious issue, and as I talk right now, I'll talk about it later. I want to say something. I want to speak something that I've been trying to really understand myself, but I will say it as it came to me. This is a very serious situation we have. A very serious situation we have. The reason why these murders are happening, it is because they do not want people to die, too many people to die during the voting days, during the campaigning days. So by the time elections happen in 2023, you are going to see on news, on the television, in various newspapers, they are going to say for the first time, elections were violent free. So in order for them to achieve that, they are trying to avoid violence by killing people who would otherwise be attacked during the election time. They are killing them. So there is no need for violence anymore, because people who are beaten in political violence, they've already died. But people are going to get tired of talking about people who are being abducted and people who are being murdered.
Yes.
So far in the past 4 weeks, we have already lost 3 opposition members to these murders, clinically organized murders. They are strategically organized. So what I'm saying now is the biggest problem we have as citizens is that we are too simple and naive to the level where there are people today who think that this so-called new opposition party is going to achieve something different from what was happening in the previous elections. That naivety is worrisome. People who are part of this masquerade, this dragon, this vampire, they are the guarantors of ZANU-PF's stay in power. The elections you are talking about, this vampire has already sent its emissaries and mercenaries into Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. They are the ones who are going to be running the election. So what you are going to do is you are going to go into a football match where the referee is also a player of the opponent team. Why could you expect a match win when the referee who is refereeing this match is a member of the opponent team? Why people are so fanatic and crazy and anxious and excited that this Triple C is going to achieve something? It leaves a lot to be desired. It's amazing. Zvotoshamisa izvo zvokuti vanhu vari kufunga kuti chii chaicho chavari kufungidzira kuti chichasiyana nezvanga zvichiitika makore esa. This vampire I am talking about is so relaxed today, and it has promised its principle that we will deliver to you this election. They are not panicking, they are not worried, they are not concerned. There is nothing that is going to change. What we are seeing today is already the result of the 2023 election. And as I talk to you right now, my heart bleeds for the people whose names are on the target list, whom we are going to continue losing. And people are going to simply be sending comments on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, TikTok, complaining that they condemn the murder of Zimbabwean citizens and criticizing them on social media is not going to yield any effect. This is a very serious problem. And as you shall see in the public statement that I'm going to issue, we are actually pleading with opposition members to discontinue their political activities to save lives. Their political ambitions are going to remain political ambitions. They are not going to materialize. You are going to be surprised by some people who are going to join the ruling party defecting from the opposition. Some of them are going to be intimidated. Some of them are going to be given money. those who have already been bought out, they are just the beginning of the end of some of the ambitions of the opposition. The situation in Zimbabwe has escalated to very, very dangerous levels. Very, very dangerous levels. And there is also an invisible external hand in the politics of Zimbabwe. One of the foreign hands is of a Chinese nature. To date, China has invested about $4 billion in Zimbabwe. And China knows the volatility in Zimbabwean politics. And one of the effects of this external hand is that they are resourcing this vampire to protect the party because of the Chinese investments. The Chinese want to protect their money. The Chinese have poured in money, and the people of Zimbabwe have not benefited from those investments. The money invested ended up in the pockets of the so-called political elite. So China is going to lose if ZANU-PF loses an election. So China is a guarantor again of electoral victory to ZANU-PF. If you remember, in 2013, China gave ZANU-PF more than $200 million to campaign with. This is a fact. You can go and check history. How do our Zimbabwean people accept that a political party is sponsored by as giant an economic player as China as a country? If MDC was given that money by Europe, was the ZANU-PF ruling party going to accept it? For how long has China been giving ZANU-PF money to use during election time? It's true what I'm telling you, that in the 2013, 2018 elections, China gave them money to use to campaign. So when you are talking about the 2023 election, you must also consider China and Chinese interests. Whatever you think is going to happen, you must make sure China is part of your considerations.
Yes.
Whether you want to play a part or whether you are trying to just do some scientific analysis. As an analyst, if you are not going to consider China, you are going to come up with very, very unrealistic analysis.
Yes.
This is very difficult and this is very dangerous. China itself does not accept anyone to... It's illegal to be sponsored by a foreign power when you are trying to practice politics in China, although we know as a communist state, it's a one-party state, but you go to prison if you are found to be conspiring with a foreign power. How does ZANU-PF accuse opposition parties of being sponsored by the West when they are also being sponsored by the East? What do we say about the level of this hypocrisy? These are some of the things that an ordinary citizen is not able to say. And as a man of God, I am not a political analyst. I'm speaking these things because the duty of a prophet is not just to tell you what shall happen. Sometimes I have to enlighten you on how things are going to happen,
yes,
to broaden your judgment, as it were, and your sense and your understanding. Very, very dangerous. But there's other bigger problems. The first problem is that, like I told you some few weeks ago, the government has acquired a dangerous set of equipment from Israel, from a company called Secos. This company specializes in inventing, manufacturing, and selling spy equipment. It is one of the best Middle Eastern companies at these technological gadgets. Our government is now able to listen to your calls without needing to go through to your telecommunication service provider. Before, they used to intercept calls because every telecommunications service provider is instructed by the Act, is also regulated by POTRAS, that they will be able to follow up to make sure that they can use those communications to do investigations for this, for justice purposes, to prosecute criminals and so forth. But they would need to go and install their equipment so that they can have a connectivity with the telecommunication service provider. The new equipment they have now, they don't need Econet, Tel1 or Telecel to listen to your calls. They will listen to your calls without communicating with Econet. It's a very, very dangerous equipment, and almost all dictatorships have acquired this kind of equipment. You must remember, one of the countries that have acquired this equipment is Belarus, which is also a dictatorship, and other despotic regimes. And this equipment I'm talking about, it is handed over to this vampire so that they can hunt for the targeted political opponents and eliminate them. On top of that, they have also acquired a certain chemical, very, very dangerous. Instead of poisoning your food so that you die tomorrow, they have now laid on their hands to a chemical that can kill you 3 months after the day of your poisoning. And once you die, the pathological examinations are never going to be, if they are standard equipment, they are not going to be able to tell that this person did not die of a natural disease, because this chemical is an agent that attacks different parts of your body. They attack your nervous system, they attack your lungs, they attack your heart. Others are going to die of heart attack, others are going to die of so-called cancer. Suddenly, you are going to hear that you are diagnosed of cancer. It is because of this chemical. And why this is dangerous? It is because for the first time, they are going to be able to kill someone without touching him, because they can shoot a dart and then you are going to be pinged with a small granule that contains this poison, and you are going to feel like it's just a sting from a bee or something that is less painful, and you are going to forget about it, and you are going to live as normal. 3-4 months later, you are going to be sick, and in a few days you are going to die, and nobody is going to suspect them. This is a dangerous chemical. This is a dangerous capacity. I want to ask this question: why is our government investing so much money in acquiring things that hurt its own citizens? Why can't they use that money to improve building proper roads? Not these ill-constructed roads, which can't even last a year. The roads that Mr. Mnangagwa is building, they are substandard roads, all of them. If we are given a chance to have proper leaders, we are going to start afresh to building those roads. Why can't he use that money instead of acquiring chemicals to kill opponents? Why can't he supply medicines to hospitals? It's very dangerous. The Zimbabwean politicians are in a friendship with a dangerous country. I don't want to release the details. Our government has become too close to a very dangerous government that is very notorious for manufacturing nerve agents that kill political or perceived political opponents from a distance. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good.
Yes.
They are going to hire and recruit what they call intelligence assets, people who are basically handled by intelligence operatives, and they are paid few dollars to carry out clandestine intelligence and military operations. They are going to recruit waiters and cooks from upmarket restaurants where political elite opposition members go and eat from. And you are going to walk into a restaurant and order food. And those people are going to have a list of targets. Whenever a politician enters their restaurant, they check on their list. If they see you are there, they poison you in your food. You don't suffer that day. You don't get sick that day. You are going to be fined for 3, 4, 5 months. And then you get sick. Within 2 months, you are dead. And this is what I said, why I said there is a dark cloud. And I was talking to some few people yesterday, and I said, there's a dark cloud hovering above us. And we need to pray for people who are instrumental in crying out for a change of things in our country, people who are asking the government to behave responsibly, people who are advocating for the preservation of life in Zimbabwe, political activists, journalists, and civic society activists. I want us to pray for them because we are likely going to lose one of the most instrumental persons in our country through these tactics and weird and very, very wicked strategies which they are using now. My advice to the so-called politicians, especially from the opposition, they should minimize their exposure to the public. They must reduce their frequency to go and eat from restaurants, especially in Zimbabwe. Because if you're on the target list, you are never going to know that you have been poisoned. And you are going to be said to have died of a natural cause. And for the first time, people are never going to suspect ZANU-PF. The doctors are going to write, he died of pneumonia, he died of cardiac arrest. But what causes the cardiac arrest? It may be a cardiac arrest. What triggered the cardiac arrest? It's a very, very nefarious and aggressive and dangerous chemical agent acquired by the state to eliminate perceived political opponents. It's a dark cloud that is hovering over Zimbabwe right now. Let us pray that the people we are having hope on, they may last until this time next year. Let us pray that all of them, they may last until this time next year. It's a prayer that you need to make. Now, as I talk to you right now, I'm a survivor of political violence. I survived 2 assassination attempts. I have injuries on my body right now in the hands of these barbaric ZANU-PF terrorists who tried to kill me on the road. So I know that on the list of those who are going to be targeted, definitely my name is there. I don't lose sleep about it. But the reason why I am sharing this with you, I also want you to know that as long as you are known for holding the government accountable, every death should be suspected. Every death of those who are perceived to be enemies of the state in Zimbabwe, everyone's death from this point onwards, they should be suspected.
Yes.
And of the deaths that need to be investigated, I am not casting aspersions, I am not pointing a blaming finger, but I want you to ask yourself, did Dewa Mavunga die a natural death? Did Alex Magaisa die a natural death? I want to ask this question. I knew Dewa Mavinga. He was a friend of mine. He was a human rights activist. He was based in London. He ran a program called Human Rights Watch. And if you go to YouTube right now, you are going to watch his videos. He interviewed women who were raped by the soldiers after the mass shooting of citizens in 2018. He interviewed people who are drinking contaminated water in Harare. He interviewed victims of political violence. He was advocating for the protection of citizens, not only in Zimbabwe, but all over Africa. Did he die a natural death? Did he actually die of COVID? Did Alex Magaisa die of a heart attack, which was caused by pre-existing medical conditions? How sure are you? Oh, he was in England, so he was safe. Pray for Africa so that they may not be too naive. As I talk to you now, people are going to be given money to fly to different countries to go and assassinate those who are using foreign lands as a safe hub from which they are recording videos on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter criticizing the Zimbabwean government. They are going to send mercenaries flying to China, flying to Europe, flying to South Africa, flying to Botswana, to Namibia, to Kenya, hunting for the perceived political opponents. And they are going to come back and relax. And after a few weeks, you are going to hear Mr. So-and-so has died. He suffered from a natural problem. Mr. So-and-so has died. He was suffering from this disease. And everyone is going to say, it's a natural death. Death is for us, or everyone is going to die. You can't blame ZANU-PF for everyone's death. It's a dangerous situation. But in the midst of all these things that I'm saying now, you must know that God is watching, and God has his own way, his own plans. I am not even sure, as I talk to you right now, whether myself I will be alive by this time next year, because there has been so many meetings held by these people, this vampire. They are trying as much as possible to use everything in their disposal to find out, where am I? Last time I shared a video, I did a public statement when they sent people down there to South Africa to try and find out if I was there. So as I talk to you now, I always know that I am not entitled to meeting with you again or to do another utterance again to speak on Zimbabwe. It may be my last speech to you. When I heard that they had mutilated More Blessing Alice's body, I could imagine that they were going to do the same if they find me. They can do the same to me. The reason why God kept me alive to this day, it is because God found it necessary to use me to speak openly and educate my fellow countrymen on some of the things that are affecting our land. The people of Zimbabwe must know that ZANU-PF has declared war on them. We are no longer at a time of peace. We are now in a time of war. But this is a strategic war. They have decided to kill us one by one so that we may take longer to realize that it's a war. And in a war situation, you don't seek to negotiate with the enemy who is attacking you. without you taking a position to fire back to defend yourself. And this is where our opposition parties are doing us a disservice and disappointing us.
Yes.
Mr. Chamisa's strategy is not working in Zimbabwe. It's not. It's not going to work again. This vampire I am talking about is made up of military generals, intelligence, gurus, people who are living in upmarket suburbs, driving luxurious vehicles, earning thousands of US dollars a month. Taking ZANU-PF out of power is snatching food from their mouths.
Yes.
They are never going to let it go without a fight. Elections are not going to work for us. My advice to them is they should stop their political activities until they sit down and find a strategy that brings them and equips them to match the enemy they are facing. The book of Luke chapter 14 has got a very graphic analysis of our Zimbabwean problem, because what we have now, we have a situation where the opposition leaders are convening rallies, asking their parties to wear, the members to wear political regalia. After the rally, Mr. Chamisa and his comrades, they go to their suburbs. Mm-hmm. They are living inside walled and gated homes. They are hiring security guards. They have installed CCTV cameras. They are armed. They have dogs. But their members, they live in Chitungwiza. They live in Budiriro. Mm-hmm. They live in Glenora.
Yes.
Some of them are living in homes where there is no security at all. Mm-hmm. So the murderers are coming at night, taking them, killing them. And all that we are getting is a public statement, a press statement, a press release. May his soul rest in peace. One by one, our brothers and sisters are being murdered. It is irresponsible for the opposition leaders to continue with their political activities, especially seeing that their activists, their members are killed. They are brutally murdered. They are dying in their numbers every day because of these activities. Their own wives are safe. Their own children are safe. It is our brothers and sisters, ordinary poor citizens, who are being murdered. A press statement is not going to bring back more Blessing Ali. A Twitter message from Fadzai Mahere is not going to send more Blessing Ali's children to school. This is a war. This is a serious matter. It is not student activism. This is not University of Zimbabwe Student Representative Council. This is not. This is somebody's future, yes. Somebody's livelihood. Somebody's children are not going to go to school because their father was murdered. Somebody's family is going to starve because of these politics. This is not right. It's not responsible. I am accusing our opposition political activists and leaders of practicing reckless politics that is putting their members as pawns in a political chess game, sacrificing their members so that they may appear on a press statement video, dressed in expensive clothes, speaking fluent English, but with no plan to promise their members that no opposition member shall be killed again. We are going to do this to protect you. Condemning ZANU-PF is not going to intimidate ZANU-PF into stopping their murder. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. May God comfort the families of those that are bereaved. The Ali family, the Dube family, the Ngube family, who is the other one? Who was murdered in Zengeza?
Chinembiri.
The Chinembiri family. May God comfort them. I feel for them. 3 years ago, I lost my loved ones as well in the same way.
Yes.
I know the feeling of that loss. I know that. May God give them comfort and give them strength to deal with the horrific loss of their loved ones. May God send them angels to feed their families now that their breadwinners have been murdered. May God comfort the children who are waking up in the morning and asking, where is my mother? And the adults have nothing to say to them. They can't tell little children, your mother was mutilated by a certain man who lives 1.5 kilometers from where we are. That man is walking free right now. And it's possible that tomorrow is coming back to kill some of us. This is dangerous.
Yes.
And this is unacceptable. Statements to condemn this violence and murders, it's not enough. The people of Zimbabwe must demand more from the opposition. If they can't do more than a statement condemning these horrific facts, horrific acts, they should shut down the opposition parties. Let everyone accept that we can't do anything about our problem. Yes. Let's all die as game in the hands of monstrous idiots and monstrous animals. This is not nice.
Yes.
We are the church and we represent the true church of God. We speak from God's mind. The opposition leaders are passively participating in the murder of Zimbabwean citizens through their apathy. Is it possible that some of the opposition leaders are given money behind closed doors to practice mouth politics and create an image that there is opposition politics in Zimbabwe, but the party, the ruling party must continue to reign? Is it possible? It's a question. Hatina vanhu vari kupiwa mari here vachinzi imi tichauraya vanhu vakawanda imi hatimbokubatai. Imi kana tauraya munongoenda papress statement munotikondema. Kana election yauya munongoitawo ruzha techikokupaiwo nekuseri tichechikodywa tese. Toda kuti vari kunze kwenyika vafunge kuti muno mune opposition, kuti zviriko zvakadaro izvozvo. Zimbabwe now needs a liberator. We are going to need to go into a struggle for freedom. We are going to need to fight for the liberation of Zimbabwe from colonization from another black man. It appears in 1980 we were not delivered and liberated from colonialism. They just gave us another colonizer with a black face. We need a liberator. There are people who need to sit down and ask themselves, God has given me certain abilities. Are these abilities not given to me for a certain purpose as this, for such a time as this, to stand up and defend the weaklings that we have in our country? We need a new generation of people who are going to start to establish a new strategy and a new approach to offer an alternative solution to our homegrown problems. Just imagine if Julius Malema was a Zimbabwean. Just ask yourself, what would he have done to address the murder of Blessing Ali? Yes, the environments are different. I'm just saying, just imagine. Just imagine. We need people who are going to practice mature politics, who are not going to use somebody's misfortune to advance a political agenda. People who are using deaths of their members to advance their own personal political agenda. Some of the statements we are hearing from the so-called press statements, you can hear that they are not coming from the heart. You can feel that these people are not affected by what has happened to their members. Some of the problems are caused by giving responsibilities to children who do not have an experience of the struggles of the people.
Yes.
We need adults in these things, not just in terms of age, but in terms of experience.
Yes.
Some of the people you are promoting to senior national positions, you are shooting yourself in the foot. There are adults who are going to say to you, why can I join a children's play? Inotodzeva nights. Gaya vana vatambe. Kana vakuru vakuda kuita something, tichazoungana.
Yes.
There are things that adults should be left to do. Proper adults, mature people, people who can speak from their heart and share the sorrow of their fellow party members, the grief of their party members. People are not looking for an eloquent orator, a motivational speaker. People want a leader.
Yes.
Munofunga kuti chirungu chinokuita leader. Taura chirungu chiri correct. Chitaura semunhu ane 17 years.
Yes.
You don't have an experience of what other people have gone through. Right now, more Blessing Ali's children are orphaned. They don't have a mother.
Yes.
They can't have anyone to embrace them when they are sick. When you talk, show that emotion.
Yeah.
So that when we suffer, I know that I'm suffering from something that we all feel about.
Oh, yes.
Don't love the cameras like that. It's not good. Nofarama cameras zvakanyanya. There are going to be some of the nails that are going to be the nails of your political coffins. Where are the adults? I want to speak to strangers. I want to speak to people who I know I can't describe very well, but I know they will know that I'm talking to them. There are people that I'm talking to right now. God gave you what you have for such a time as this one. It is selfish for you to leave people strangled to death when you are holding the knife that can cut the noose of the rope. It is not right. Stand up and take up your responsibility. There are people who are given certain abilities by God that are going to be national assets which can be used to help people in times of need. Those people are living luxury lives. They are comfortable. They don't want to come out and stand with the people of Zimbabwe because they themselves are comfortable. That is selfish. You should stand up and be a citizen who is patriotic. Thomas Jefferson, the US president, said, when lawlessness becomes normal in a country, resistance becomes a duty. It is a duty to resist these kinds of ills. Finally, there's something that I'm praying for these days. I'm praying so that God may give Zimbabwean citizens a heart of a man and take away the heart of animals from us. Our people feel nothing when their fellow countrymen are being brutalized. That is a manifestation of a curse. As I talk right now, I am still praying to God for the animal heart to be replaced with a gentle heart of a compassionate human being, a compassionate Zimbabwean citizen who feels the pain when his neighbor is feeling pain, who feels the grief when the neighbor is aggrieved, who feels the pain and the sorrow when your fellow countryman has been abused. This is what makes Zimbabwe different from South Africa. This is what makes Zimbabwe different from the United States of America. The so-called education has caused a very, very negative effect on our humanity. Our people are extremely selfish, and they think it's a sign of civilization. It's a shame. May God remember us. We are in a very torrid time. There is a dark cloud hovering above us. May God preserve the men and women who have been holding the small glimmer of hope that we are left with at a time when we are being choked. People cannot breathe. Thank you very much.